Ever get the feeling your brain's kind of like on overdrive? You're noticing stuff others don't, maybe feeling things like way more intensely, or
Yeah.
like your thoughts just spiral in directions no one else seems to get.
Right.
Well, that's exactly what we're diving into today. Mental overefficiency.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from Christelle Pitticolin's book, I Think Too Much, and we're going to unpack all that, see if this unique way of thinking and feeling,
Yeah.
maybe it's something you recognize in yourself.
Cool.
Right.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Petit Collins, she uses this like analogy of a zebra to describe people who are mentally overefficient.
Okay.
So like on the surface they blend in, right?
Yeah.
But underneath there's this vibrant, intense inner world.
I like that.
It's like zebra's stripes.
Yeah.
Unique,
I'm
striking.
digging that zebra image already.
Yeah.
But okay, let's get specific,
Yeah.
What actually makes these zebra brains, what makes them tick so differently?
Well, one of the key things is hypersensitivity. Okay.
So think of it this way. For someone with hyperesthesia, the world's like a movie with the volume and brightness cranked way up.
Oh, wow.
Even subtle things,
Yeah.
like the hum of a refrigerator or the texture of clothing can be overwhelming.
So it's not just like they notice it, it's that they experience it like on a whole other level.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah.
Imagine trying to focus on a conversation, right? In like a crowded restaurant.
Yeah.
While like every sound, light, and smell is hitting you full force.
Oh, man.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people that have hyperesthesia, they might seek out quiet spaces, right?
Yeah.
Or use noise-canceling headphones just to kind of manage daily life.
I could see how that constant sensory overload, it would be draining for sure.
Yeah.
And it's not just the external senses either, right?
Right.
Petit Collins, she talks about emotional intensity as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
It's like those amplified senses, they translate to emotions too, right?
Right. So what might be like a mild annoyance for some,
Yeah.
could trigger like a wave of frustration or anxiety for someone with mental overefficiency.
So does that explain why some people, they kind of seem to overreact to things?
It could.
Okay.
Their reactions might seem like excessive to others,
Yeah.
but to them, they're very real.
Right.
Petit
Well.
Collins links this to the amygdala, which is the part of the brain that's like an alarm system, right?
Yeah.
It seems like in people with mental overefficiency, this alarm system, it's like set to a higher sensitivity.
Oh, okay.
So it goes off more easily.
So recognizing that could be the first step to managing those strong reactions, right?
Yeah.
Knowing it's not just you being, too sensitive.
Right.
It's that your brain is actually wired for these like really intense experiences.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's about understanding and working with your unique wiring.
Okay.
Now let's move on to another fascinating aspect of these zebra brains, the way they think. Petit Collins says that while many people think, in a linear step-by-step fashion, like following a rope,
Yeah.
mental overefficients, they think more like a tree, branching out in all directions.
I can relate to that. Sometimes I feel like my thoughts are just like bouncing all over the place.
Right.
And she even includes an anecdote about a man, Francois, who peppered someone with 20 questions in just 3 minutes.
Yes.
That's a lot of questions.
That's a perfect illustration of that tree-like thinking.
Yeah.
It can make it hard for them to communicate with people who think more linearly,
Yeah.
Because they're like jumping between ideas, exploring tangents, making connections others might miss.
Yeah. Yeah. I can imagine that that leads to some pretty interesting conversations.
Yeah.
But also like potentially frustrating ones if the other person isn't on the same wavelength.
That's a good point. And it might explain why those with mental overefficiency, they often feel misunderstood. Like they're speaking a different language.
Right.
But this way of thinking, while complex, it's also a source of incredible creativity and innovation.
So it's not about trying to like change the way you think.
No,
It's
yeah.
about learning to like harness that tree-like thinking for good.
Exactly. And this ties into another important point, the right brain connection.
Okay.
So we often hear about left brain versus right brain dominance, right?
Yeah.
Well, those with mental overefficiency, they tend to be more right-brained.
Okay, so remind me.
Yeah.
What are those key differences again?
Okay, so the left brain It's associated with logic, language, and analysis.
Okay.
It's the methodical, step-by-step thinker.
Right, right.
The right brain, on the other hand, it's all about intuition, creativity, emotions, and seeing the big picture.
So we're seeing those themes of hypersensitivity, emotional intensity, and that tree-like thinking
Yeah.
all kind of point towards like that right brain way of being.
Precisely. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
You know, in a society that often values those left brain qualities, logic, efficiency, linear thinking,
Right.
it's no wonder those with mental overefficiency can feel like they don't quite fit in.
Right. And Pettit-Collin, she calls this Cassandra syndrome,
That's right.
after the figure from Greek mythology who could see the future, but no one believed her.
Right.
Oh, man.
This feeling of being misunderstood, of having these deep insights, these intense experiences that others might dismiss or downplay,
Yeah.
it can have a real impact on self-esteem.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're constantly second-guessing yourself,
Right.
and feeling like you need to explain or justify your thoughts and feelings.
Yeah, I could see how that would like chip away at your confidence over time.
Yeah.
Especially when you factor in that heightened sensitivity to criticism that we talked about earlier.
Absolutely. And that brings us to another important concept: swimsuit syndrome.
Swimsuit syndrome. Intriguing name. What's that all about?
Well, think of it this way. Imagine you're like already overwhelmed,
Yeah.
right? With a million things to do.
Yeah.
And someone asks you for a favor,
Yeah.
something that's gonna like add even more to your plate.
Right.
Most people might hesitate.
Yeah.
Or even say no.
Yeah.
But those with swimsuit syndrome,
Mhm.
they're more likely to say yes without even thinking about it.
Oh, I do that all the time.
Yeah.
I hate saying no even when I'm like already so stretched thin.
It's a common pattern.
Yeah.
But it's especially prevalent among those with mental overefficiency.
Okay.
They have a hard time setting boundaries.
Yeah.
They want to please others.
Yeah.
And they often feel obligated to help, even at their own expense.
Right.
So what we're seeing here is another example of how like a beautiful quality,
Yeah.
like empathy, a desire to help,
Yeah.
can actually become a source of struggle if it's not balanced with self-care and healthy boundaries.
Right. Right. It's like two sides of the same coin.
Exactly. It's a key theme we'll continue exploring as we dive deeper into the world of mental overefficiency.
We just finished talking about that swimsuit syndrome,
Yeah.
saying yes to everything.
Right.
Even when you're already like totally overloaded.
Yeah.
And I think that ties directly into this idea that people with mental overefficiency, they can really struggle with self-esteem.
Absolutely. It absolutely does. Pettit-Collin points out that constant self-criticism, coupled with that feeling of like never quite fitting in,
Right.
it can erode confidence over time.
Yeah.
And because you're so sensitive to feedback, any criticism, it can feel like a major blow.
It's almost like that inner critic, the one we all have. It's like it's working overtime
Right.
in people with mental overefficiency, always pointing out like flaws and imperfections.
Exact. But the good news is you can learn to manage that inner critic,
Okay.
and start building yourself up. Pettit-Collin, she emphasizes the importance of shifting your perspective.
Okay.
So instead of focusing on what's wrong, try to consciously like acknowledge and appreciate your strengths, your accomplishments.
Right.
Celebrate those wins, even the small ones.
Makes sense. It's like retraining your brain to focus on the positive,
Exactly.
instead of getting stuck in that negative feedback loop.
Yeah.
But it's not just about like internal validation, right?
Yay.
We all need support and encouragement from other people too.
We absolutely do. And that's where finding your tribe comes in.
Your tribe. Gotcha.
Surrounding yourself with people who understand and appreciate your unique way of being.
Right.
That's crucial for building self-esteem.
Yeah.
People who can engage with your ideas, appreciate your intensity, and celebrate those zebra qualities.
It's like finding those people who like speak your language. They
Yeah.
get your quirks and they make you feel, seen and valued for who you are.
Exactly.
And sometimes it's like quality over quantity, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a few deep connections can make all the difference.
Exactly. Now let's talk about some more practical strategies for thriving with mental overefficiency.
Okay.
One of the things Pettit-Collin emphasizes is the importance of self-regulation.
Okay.
So remember all that sensory input, all that
Yeah.
emotional intensity we talked about.
Yes.
Well, self-regulation, it's all about learning to manage those strong reactions, right?
Yeah.
And finding ways to create like a sense of calm
Right.
amidst the chaos.
Amidst the chaos, yeah. This seems particularly important for like people who are prone to sensory overload or, who just they find themselves overwhelmed in certain situations.
Right.
What are some like specific techniques that can help with that?
Well, mindfulness meditation, that can be incredibly powerful.
Okay.
It's not about, emptying your mind.
Right.
It's about learning to observe your thoughts and emotions without judgment.
Okay.
So when those waves of anxiety or frustration hit, you can learn to just, notice them,
Yeah.
acknowledge them, and let them pass
Right.
without getting swept away.
It's like building that mental muscle,
Yeah.
to pause, take a breath, and choose a different response
Right.
instead of just like reacting impulsively.
Precisely.
Okay.
And there were so many other tools you can experiment with, right?
Yeah.
Deep breathing exercises, yoga, spending time in nature, listening to calming music, anything that helps you, feel grounded, centered.
Right. Right. It's about finding what works for you.
Exactly.
Like your own personal toolkit for self-care.
Exactly.
It's like creating that like mental sanctuary you can escape to when the world just feels like too much.
Exactly. Now, another important aspect of thriving with mental overefficiency is finding balance, right?
Okay.
Between your internal world and the external world.
Right.
It's so easy to get lost in your thoughts,
Yeah.
analyzing everything,
Yeah.
exploring all those tangents.
I can definitely relate to that. Sometimes I feel like I'm living in my head,
Yeah.
missing out on what's happening right in front of me.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why creating a routine that includes like both structured activities
Okay.
and an unstructured downtime.
Right.
That's so important.
Okay.
So schedule time for work and play,
Okay.
for socializing and solitude,
Yeah.
for engaging with the world and retreating to recharge.
I love that. It's about honoring both sides of that that zebra nature,
Right.
the vibrant, energetic side
Yeah.
that wants to like experience and explore,
Right.
and then that sensitive, introspective side
Right.
that needs time to like process and recharge.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And speaking of exploration, it's important to build in time for new experiences.
Yes.
Right.
Remember, your brain craves novelty.
Yeah.
So feed that curiosity.
Okay.
Learn a new skill, take a different route to work, visit a museum, anything that sparks your interest
Right.
and gets those mental gears turning.
It's about letting that zebra run free.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Like embracing your natural curiosity and allowing yourself to get like swept away by those things that fascinate you.
Exactly. And this leads us to another vital aspect of thriving with mental overefficiency, embracing your creativity.
Okay.
Remember all that right-brained energy we talked about?
Yeah.
Well, that translates to a lot of creative potential.
Okay.
You're probably brimming with ideas, and you have this unique way of seeing the world.
So often we hear people talk about those with mental overefficiency, like being overthinkers.
Yeah.
But maybe it's more accurate to say they're overcreators.
I love that.
Right.
And yes, it's about finding ways to channel all that mental energy, right?
Yeah.
Into something positive and productive.
So how do you suggest people do that? Like, how do they tap into that creative potential?
Find what lights you up.
Okay.
Is it writing, painting, music, building things, solving problems?
Right.
There are so many ways to express your creativity. The
Yeah.
key is to experiment, explore different avenues, and don't be afraid to, try new things.
Don't let that inner critic hold you back. Right.
Exactly.
Give yourself permission to play, to like be messy,
Yeah,
make mistakes, and to just, discover what truly brings you joy.
you got it. Now let's talk about something that can be a challenge, but also a major strength. Letting go of perfectionism.
Ooh, this is a tough one for a lot of people.
It is.
But especially for those who are like wired to see all the possibilities, all the nuances.
Yeah.
And who just like, have this deep desire to do things right.
Right. It is tough. But Pettit reminds us that that perfection is an illusion.
Right.
It's a moving target, you know?
Yeah.
That can lead to constant frustration and a feeling of like never being good enough.
Yeah.
So instead of chasing perfection, try to focus on progress.
Okay.
Celebrate the small wins, acknowledge how far you've come, and recognize that that growth is a journey, not a destination.
It's like embracing the wabi-sabi philosophy, right?
Yeah.
Finding beauty in the imperfections.
Yeah.
And appreciating the journey.
Yeah.
Rather than striving for some like unattainable ideal.
Exactly. And that ties into another important point: learning to manage criticism. Yeah. We know that you're sensitive to feedback.
Yeah.
And criticism can feel like a like a personal attack.
Right.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
Oh, no.
You can learn to develop a more objective approach.
Okay.
Separating the message from the messenger.
So instead of like internalizing every negative comment,
right,
you can learn to filter the noise.
Yeah.
And focus on the feedback that's actually like constructive and helpful.
Exactly. And remember, you're not obligated to accept every piece of advice or opinion that comes your way, right?
Right.
Develop your own internal compass.
Yeah.
Trust your own judgment.
Right.
And choose to surround yourself with people who offer support and encouragement,
right,
rather than constant criticism.
It's about finding those people who like lift you up rather than tear you down.
Exactly.
And that brings us to relationships in general, right?
Right.
Navigating relationships, that can be tricky for anyone.
Yeah.
But perhaps even more so when you have this like unique way of thinking and feeling.
Right.
So what advice does Pettit offer for those with mental overefficiency who are like trying to build healthy, fulfilling relationships?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of communication.
Okay.
And setting boundaries.
Okay, so communication boundaries.
Yeah, remember that swimsuit syndrome we talked about?
Yeah.
It's easy to overextend yourself, to say yes to everything, and to neglect your own needs, right? In order to please others.
Right.
So learning to communicate your needs, clearly and assertively, that's essential.
It's about saying no when you need to.
Yeah.
And not feeling guilty about it.
Right.
Right.
And being honest about what you can and can't handle.
Yeah.
Exactly. And it's also about being mindful of how your thinking style might differ from those around you. Remember that rope versus tree analogy?
I do. Yeah. Such a powerful image.
It is, and it's it's something to keep in mind when you're communicating with people who think more linearly.
Right.
You might need to slow down, explain your thought process more explicitly.
Okay.
And avoid jumping between too many ideas at once.
Right.
Otherwise, you risk confusing people, and your message might get lost in translation.
I can definitely see how that would lead to misunderstandings.
Yeah.
It's like you're speaking, different languages.
Right.
Even if you're using the same words.
Right. And it's also about being patient.
Okay.
With those who might not, grasp your ideas immediately.
Right.
Give them time to catch up.
Yeah.
And be willing to, explain things in different ways until you find that common ground.
That requires like a lot of empathy.
It does.
But I think those with mental overefficiency, they're uniquely equipped for that.
They are, and that's what's so beautiful about this way of being in the world.
Yeah.
You have so much to offer: depth, sensitivity, creativity, and and a genuine desire to understand and connect with others.
Right.
It's about learning to harness those strengths, right?
Yeah.
And navigate the challenges in a way that honors your unique wiring.
Right. Welcome back to our final deep dive into the world of mental overefficiency. I'm really starting to see how those zebra stripes, they could be, both beautiful and challenging.
Yeah.
But we haven't explored all the strengths yet, right?
Not even close.
Okay.
We talked about how sensitive you can be to criticism.
Right.
But let's flip that around for a second.
Okay.
The sensitivity also makes you incredibly empathetic.
Okay.
You don't just understand other people's emotions. You actually you actually feel them, deeply.
It's almost like having an extra sense, right?
Yeah.
That lets you pick up on those subtle cues that other people, they might miss.
It is.
Yeah.
And this empathy makes you, a truly gifted friend, partner, family member.
Yeah.
You can connect with people on a deep level, offer support and understanding, and truly make a difference in their lives.
I could see how that empathy would be like invaluable in careers, like teaching,
Yeah.
counseling, social work.
Absolutely. You're also natural mediators.
Okay.
And problem solvers, because you can see multiple perspectives.
Yeah.
And understand the nuances of a situation.
That's so interesting. It's like so many of the things that we often frame as challenges with mental overefficiency.
Yeah.
They're also like incredible strengths.
Right.
When approached in the right way.
Exactly.
Like that tendency to overthink, for example. It can be exhausting.
Yeah.
But it can also lead to like incredible insights.
It's true. You might analyze every angle,
Right?
Consider every possibility, and really dig deep to understand a topic.
Yeah.
It's that thoroughness and dedication that can make you excel in fields like research, academia, or any profession that requires careful analysis and attention to detail.
It's like your brain is wired for deep thinking and problem solving.
Right.
But the key is like learning to channel that energy effectively.
Exactly. It's about recognizing when you need to step back from the mental hamster wheel.
Right.
And take a break.
Yeah.
And it's about learning to focus on solutions, right? Rather than getting stuck in a loop of worry and what ifs.
So mindfulness, setting boundaries, self-care.
Yeah.
These are all like crucial tools for managing that overthinking tendency.
Yes.
And using it to your advantage.
They are. And speaking of advantages, let's talk about that intense need for meaning and purpose, right?
Yes.
That many with mental overefficiency they experience.
Yeah.
It can be a source of frustration if you haven't found your calling.
Right.
But it can also be like this incredible driving force that propels you towards a truly fulfilling life.
It's like you're not content with just, going through the motions.
Yeah.
You need to feel like your life has significance.
Yeah.
Like you're making a difference in the world.
Right. And that passion can be contagious, right?
Yeah.
Inspiring others to find their own purpose.
Right.
And contribute their unique gifts.
Yeah.
You might be the one who sparks a movement,
Right.
launches a creative project,
Mm-hmm.
or simply encourages those around you to live more authentically.
It's like you're shining a light on what's possible.
Yeah.
Showing others that it's okay to be different,
Right.
to be intense, to be like deeply engaged with life.
Exactly.
And that brings us back to those zebra stripes.
Yeah.
Those unique markings that make you stand out from the crowd.
They do. And while those stripes might, make you feel different or misunderstood at times,
Right.
they're also what makes you so special.
Mm.
They represent your sensitivity, your intensity, your unique way of seeing the world.
They're your superpower.
They are.
I love it.
And to all of those listening who are resonating with these zebra traits, I want to say this: you are not alone.
Yeah.
Embrace those stripes. Embrace your sensitivity, your intensity, your unique way of thinking and feeling.
Right.
The world needs your gifts.
That's such a powerful message. Embrace your inner zebra and let those stripes shine.
Exactly. And remember, if you're feeling overwhelmed or struggling to manage those zebra challenges, there are resources out there to support you. Crystal Petty-Collins' book is a great place to start.
Yeah.
And there are many other books, websites, and communities dedicated to understanding and celebrating neurodiversity.
We'll be sure to include some links in the show notes for you.
Awesome.
And as always, we invite you to continue the conversation in our online community.
Yeah.
Share your experiences, connect with others who are on this journey with you.
Right.
And let's keep exploring these fascinating ways our brains are wired.
Because when we come together,
Yeah.
when we share our stories and support each other, we create a world where everyone can thrive.
Right.
Regardless of how their brains work.
That's what the deep dive is all about. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of of mental overefficiency.
Thanks for having me.
Until next time, keep diving deep, keep asking questions, and keep embracing those beautiful zebra stripes that make you, you.